Did Cleopatra, the captivating queen of Egypt, truly have an affair with the mighty Julius Caesar? Or was it all a web of politics and power? Ancient history is full of secrets, but this one is particularly intriguing. Cleopatra, a woman of unmatched beauty and intellect, and Caesar, a general whose name still echoes through time. What happened when these two powerful figures collided? Was it love, ambition, or a mix of both? Stay tuned as we unravel the truth behind one of history's most famous and most controversial relationships. Cleopatra VII, the last ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, is a figure who has intrigued historians and scholars for centuries. Born in 69 BCE, Cleopatra wasn't just another royal. She was a woman of intelligence, ambition, and political savvy. Her rise to power in Egypt wasn't simple or smooth. She had to navigate a complex family dynamic, with her father's death throwing Egypt into political turmoil. Cleopatra was not the only heir to the throne. In fact, her brother Ptolemy XIII was curler with her, but there was a bitter rivalry between them. Cleopatra, determined to secure her power and restore Egypt to its former glory, quickly realized that alliances were key to survival. One of her greatest strengths was her ability to use relationships to her advantage. Cleopatra was not only politically astute, but also a master manipulator, using every tool at her disposal, including her charm and intellect. But it wasn't just local politics that Cleopatra was concerned with. Egypt's position in the Mediterranean world was shaky. She needed to strengthen her rule both domestically and internationally. Enter Julius Caesar. Caesar, the Roman general and statesman, had just triumphed in the Roman Civil War, and his victory put him in a position of unmatched power. Egypt, with its rich resources, became a valuable piece in his geopolitical puzzle. The first meeting between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar wasn't a coincidence. It was the start of a relationship built on mutual interest. Cleopatra, knowing she needed Caesar's support to secure her throne, came up with a bold plan. According to some accounts, she famously had herself smuggled into Caesar's palace in a rolled-up carpet, a dramatic entry that left an impression on Caesar. This was the beginning of a partnership that would forever be remembered in history. Was it love at first sight, or was it more about political maneuvering? Historians debate this to this day, but one thing is certain: Cleopatra knew the power of a strategic relationship. And Caesar was just as aware of the value Egypt held. The combination of her charm, intelligence, and political need, along with Caesar's military strength and desire for control, set the stage for one of the most famous relationships in ancient history. As we move forward, we'll explore how this affair not only altered the course of Cleopatra's life, but also reshaped the future of Rome and Egypt. What were the true motives behind their bond? Did they fall in love? Or was it simply a calculated power move? Let's dive deeper into their affair and uncover the truth behind this intriguing connection. The relationship between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar is often painted as a passionate love affair. But was it really love? Or was it a complex mix of political strategy and power play? To understand their bond, we have to look beyond the headlines of ancient history and examine the true nature of their relationship. When Cleopatra arrived in Rome in 46 BCE, she was not just the queen of Egypt, but a symbol of Egypt's strength and influence. She had already given birth to a child, Ptolemy XV, commonly known as Caesarion, believed to be Julius Caesar's son. Caesarion was likely the product of a powerful political alliance, more than a pure romantic connection. For Cleopatra, having a child with Caesar was a move that solidified her position and gave her the legitimacy she needed to rule Egypt more effectively. The affair, however, didn't just stop at a royal birth. Cleopatra's visit to Rome and her stay in Caesar's villa were marked by public displays of affection and power. Cleopatra was not just another lover, she was a queen in her own right, and Caesar's support was crucial for her rule. In Rome, their relationship became a political spectacle, with Cleopatra even attending public events alongside Caesar, showcasing their alliance to the people of Rome. But there were deeper political implications behind their bond. Caesar was already a highly influential leader in Rome, and his affair with Cleopatra wasn't simply about personal attraction. It was about securing Egypt's place in the Roman world. Egypt, with its wealth, resources, and strategic location, was critical to Rome's long-term interests. Having Cleopatra as an ally meant that Caesar would have a strong presence in the Eastern Mediterranean, ensuring Rome's control over this vital region. Meanwhile, Cleopatra's motives were equally clear. By aligning with Caesar, she ensured that her throne was secure. Her relationship with him helped her defeat her brother Ptolemy XIII and consolidate power. Cleopatra wasn't naive. She knew the dangers of being overthrown and understood the political landscape of both Egypt and Rome. Caesar's protection meant she could maintain her rule in Egypt, and the alliance gave her the upper hand in the turbulent world of Ptolemaic politics. Yet despite the power dynamics, there were certainly personal elements to their relationship. Cleopatra and Caesar were both known for their intelligence, and their shared passion for knowledge and cultural exchange likely contributed to the bond they formed. Cleopatra, who spoke several languages and was well-versed in philosophy, may have connected with Caesar on an intellectual level, while he too admired her wit and political acumen. Still, the question remains, was their relationship one of love, or was it purely a political alliance? The truth likely lies somewhere in between. It's possible that they genuinely cared for each other, but with both Cleopatra and Caesar being such powerful figures, the relationship can never be fully separated from the political forces at play. In the next section, we'll dive into the aftermath of their affair and examine how their connection left a lasting legacy on both Rome and Egypt. What impact did it have on the political landscape of the time? And how did Cleopatra's relationship with Julius Caesar shape her future decisions? The affair between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar may have ended with Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE, but its effects would ripple through history, shaping both the future of Egypt and the Roman Empire. Cleopatra's time in Rome had already cemented her legacy as a queen who understood the delicate dance between power, love, and politics. However, the fallout from Caesar's death set the stage for even more dramatic shifts in her life. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra's son Caesarion was left without a protector in Rome. The political landscape was now in chaos, with Julius Caesar's assassins, as well as his supporters, scrambling to take control. Cleopatra, however, remained in Egypt, resolute in her rule and determined to protect her son's future. Cleopatra quickly returned to Egypt, where she took the reins of her kingdom with the same political shrewdness that had helped her survive previous struggles. Despite the loss of Caesar's backing, she remained one of the most powerful women in the ancient world. Yet her relationship with Rome was far from over. She soon set her sights on another powerful Roman leader, Mark Antony. Cleopatra's next political alliance with Mark Antony is often overshadowed by her affair with Caesar. But it was just as impactful. Mark Antony, who had been one of Julius Caesar's closest allies, became her partner in both politics and love. Together, they aimed to challenge the rising power of Rome's future emperor, Octavian, the future Augustus. This new alliance stirred tensions with Rome, as Antony and Cleopatra were seen as a dangerous combination that could undermine the power of Rome's new rulers. Cleopatra's relationship with Julius Caesar, however, had already laid the groundwork for these future alliances. Caesar had given Cleopatra the legitimacy she needed to rule Egypt, and his legacy continued to influence her decisions. But what is often overlooked is how Cleopatra's power and influence began to shape Roman politics as well. Her son Caesarion could have been a rival to Octavian's rule, had circumstances been different. The political landscape was becoming increasingly unstable, and the future of Rome was in question. Cleopatra, once a mere queen of Egypt, had become a central figure in the fight for control over Rome's empire. Her decision to partner with Antony ultimately led to a bitter civil war, one that would have lasting consequences for both Egypt and Rome. In 31 BCE, Cleopatra and Mark Antony's forces were decisively defeated by Octavian at the Battle of Actium. After their defeat, both Cleopatra and Antony retreated to Egypt, where they would meet tragic ends. Cleopatra, unable to bear the thought of being paraded through Rome as a captive, chose to take her own life. Her death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the beginning of Egypt's annexation into the Roman Empire. Caesarion, her son, with Julius Caesar, was also killed, ensuring that Cleopatra's bloodline would not continue. The relationship between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar may have been politically motivated, but its consequences stretched far beyond Egypt. It helped define the power dynamics of the Roman Empire, contributing to the rise of Augustus, the first Roman emperor, and the fall of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. Cleopatra's intelligence, her political alliances, and her ability to manipulate the world around her left an indelible mark on history, and her legacy would continue to captivate the imagination of historians and artists for centuries. The question of whether Cleopatra and Julius Caesar's relationship was truly a love affair or simply a political alliance may never have a clear answer. However, as we look back on their story, it's clear that their bond transcended the typical notions of romance. Cleopatra, a queen who navigated the treacherous waters of Egyptian politics with grace and cunning, used her relationship with Caesar not only to secure her rule, but to elevate Egypt's status on the global stage. For Caesar, Cleopatra was not just a lover, but a key player in his broader geopolitical strategy. As the ruler of Rome, Caesar understood the importance of securing powerful allies. Egypt, with its vast resources, was crucial to his ambitions. It's possible that his affection for Cleopatra was as much about her political acumen as it was about her intelligence and charm. They were two powerful individuals whose lives intersected at a time when political power was often determined by personal relationships. Their affair was a blending of passion, strategy, and mutual benefit. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra's power in Egypt remained strong. But the political environment in Rome became even more volatile. Her alliance with Mark Antony, though born out of a shared political interest, was also fueled by the lingering legacy of her affair with Caesar. Cleopatra's ability to use her relationships to her advantage was unparalleled. But ultimately, her ties to the Roman world led to her downfall. The defeat at the Battle of Actium and her subsequent death marked the end of an era for both Egypt and Rome. Cleopatra's story is a tragic one, filled with love, ambition, and a fierce determination to hold on to power. She was a woman ahead of her time, a queen who understood that to survive in the male-dominated world of ancient politics, she would have to be both clever and bold. Her legacy, however, is not defined by the relationship she had with Julius Caesar or Mark Antony alone, but by the way she shaped the future of Egypt and the Roman Empire through those relationships. Was their affair a great love story, or was it a calculated political move? Perhaps it was both. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar's relationship, much like their individual lives, was complex, multifaceted, and deeply entwined with the destiny of two of the ancient world's greatest powers. Their affair was, in many ways, a symbol of how love and politics could not be easily separated in a world where every relationship, every alliance carried the weight of empires. As history continues to unfold, Cleopatra's life remains a subject of fascination, inspiring books, films, and countless works of art. The mystery of her relationship with Julius Caesar continues to intrigue us, reminding us that behind the allure of power and beauty, there lies a story of survival, strategy, and the never-ending quest for control over one's destiny.